Hello Flosstube, this is Kim, aka Spartan Stitcher on Instagram, and I am back today with Flosstube number 16. It is the 13th of May, so welcome back everyone. Thanks to all my subscribers and people who leave me a comment. I really appreciate it. Let's see, so 13th of May, we're almost halfway into Mania, and can I just say that my page finish plans for Mania on all my full coverage pieces has gone way above and beyond what I thought I'd get done for the month. Because if you watch my Mania video, you know that there was I was aiming to break my personal record and at least get 4 full page finishes and 1 partial page finish for the month of May. And I've already got 3 full pages in that partial, and I'm probably within the next week I'll get that 4th page finish that I wanted. So it's unbelievable to me that I've gotten this much done. So towards the end of the video, I'll talk about what I'm going to keep working on to, try to get more page finishes than what I thought was even possible. So, all right, stitching. I told you last week that I didn't get as much stitching done because I was grading year 3 in the School of Magical Stitches and Literature. I'm a Ravenclaw grading prefect, so that takes up grading all the extra credit, and the book reads takes up a lot of our time. Well, this week I only had to grade Prisoner of Azkaban reading for, I think it was Hufflepuff, and the Harry Potter book of the month and the cover challenge of the book of the month. They don't take very long to grade at all. So I didn't lose hardly any stitching time. And I had some really good stitching days, so I got a lot done this week. And you will see that. Let's see. First off, last week I had started working on Friends Forever to try to get my page finish on this one. This is by Ann Stokes. And I got my page done. I'm working right up here where that curtain comes down. So this page right here. So I got that page done. This one took me 5 days to finish up that page, which was 5 days for 1,600 stitches, which seems like an awful lot of time for my own stitching to get 1,600 stitches done. But there you go. That's what it looks like. Again, up close, you can see some of the fabric poke through. But back here, it looks awesome. And you can really tell that this really is wood grain now. So for some of the stitches, I use this for the May and June extra credit of something that lays eggs. Because in the Goblet of Fire, they have to retrieve the golden egg from the nesting dragons. So, of course, it has a dragon on it, so of course it counts for laying eggs. So I did 1,010 stitches for that. I'll show you my page up close. So that little light spot down here, right there, I'll show you the artwork again. You can see that's one of those light spots right there. So it's translating really well into the stitching. The next page will get more into the throne, and this is where the confetti is on the piece, is all the wood carvings on the throne so far. But I don't know when I'll get to that page. So, Friends Forever is done for the moment. Page finish on that one. And then I went to Kindred Spirits by Bergsma. I'm on page 2 up here, so the little bit of Frisian mane and all those colors in the background. And let's see, this one only took 2 days to do 1,300 stitches. So I don't know why it took me 5 days on Friends Forever, probably because I was grading part of that week, last week. but I did 1,300 stitches in 2 days, and I used this for the May and June extra credit, the Imperious Curse, something that you saw and just had to stitch. And I told you before that I really like Baroque horses, and that's because when I learned to ride, my riding instructor was one of the leading breeders in the U.S. of Lipizans. So, I'm really into the Baroque breeds, which are the Frisian, the Lipizan, the Andalusian, Lusitano. And this piece of artwork looks like it's Baroque horses. So I got my page finish on that one. I just love all the colors in the background, and then the bits of the Frisian mane coming through. I'll show you up close. So 1,300 stitches on that one. And that was my third full page finish of the month. So now I'll show you Oh Baby, which is my whip for the Full Coverage Phonetics 90-day challenge. I'm working on this every single day from April through June. And this is the one that I'm cropping all that left side of unnecessary background out of it. And last week I showed you that I finished this page and it started back up on this page. Last week I think I misspoke and I said that I had done 1,200 stitches. I meant to say I had already done 2,400 stitches in May. And as of today, since I've already worked on this piece today, just again to show you how much less stitching than normal I did last week. I done 2,400 on this piece, and just in the last week I'm now at my monthly total is 6,100 for the month. So I more than doubled my stitches on this piece for the week. So this is the only remaining page finish that I absolutely wanted to get done for May to break my record. And as you can see, there's not much left. It's not going to be any problem at all to get this page done. I'm thinking in the next week I'll hit it. So probably when I see you again next week, I'll have this page finished. I use this for 2 extra credits for May and June. A piece with something with an eye. So this fold's got 2 eyes in the piece, so I only have 1 stitch so far. And also a piece that begins with one of the letters in Goblet, and this is Oh Baby. So there you go. I did, let's see, so 24, whatever 6,100 minus 2,400 is. That's an awful lot of stitches in a week, isn't it? And I still did all those other stitches on Friends Forever and Kindred Spirits. So I did a lot of stitching this week. And I was thinking to myself, I really need to work on a non-full coverage piece to break it up so I don't burn myself out, because I'm getting addicted to the page finishes. Like, what else can I check off the list? What else can I get done? So I finished Kindred Spirits. Let's see. Was that Saturday? Yeah, Saturday morning. So then I had still part of Saturday afternoon and all day yesterday to figure out what I was going to work on before the homework came out for Magical Stitches. So I pulled out my Hogwarts travel poster. This is by Etsy shop Country Magic Stitch by custom order only. And I told you the first page, I think was it this turret? Yeah, comes down here and then just barely hits the side of the big tower. So lots of areas of blocks of color in that one. And just in a day and a half, I've done over 2,400 stitches on this one. So I brought it all the way down the sky. I did all of that moon. Did this little lighter cloud. There's going to be a darker, more purplish cloud that comes across here. So I think like the page is about right here. So I just have to bring that down. Now this is extremely boring because it's big blocks of color. So I'm going to put this down now. And I think just, you know, parts of a day here and there, I'll get this done this month, no problem. But I'm not going to specifically focus on it because it is so boring. And it's 28 count 1/1, so it's hard on the eyes as well. So, sorry, I'm going to try not to sneeze. All right. Oh, and I also accounted these stitches for the May and June extra credit of something you could find in the Great Lake. And of course, this actually has the Great Lake pictured. So, I counted those stitches. Again, these are all 10 stitches, so I had to do 1,000 per. For May and June stitching extra credit, there are 10 tasks, and I already have 5 done. And it's the 13th of May. Part of that is because we didn't have a very difficult homework last week with the changes. It only asked for 100 stitches. Well, I just counted 210 stitches on Oh Baby for that one. So that took me like no time at all. Half an hour to get that done because of the big blocks of color. So this week's homework is using our whip list. Now, after the little owl post, when I had those 2 small finishes, that took me from 18 whips down to 16, and knowing that, because they had warned us, you need to update your whip albums by, you know, Saturday, because Vicky told us your homework is going to be using your whip album. And I told you before that something I need to get done is I need to stitch this little schoolhouse for a teacher gift for my daughter's preschool teacher. So I added this to my whip list as whip number 17, not knowing what the homework is going to be, other than it was going to call for something on the whip list. Well, guess what? Just so happens, the homework this week is dealing with the Tri-Wizard tournament, in which you had to be at least 17 years old to enter your name into the Goblet of Fire. So, there's different options. You can put 700 stitches on your 17th whip. You can, if you don't have 17 whips, you can do 350 stitches each on your first whip and your 7th whip. If you don't have that many, you can do stitches onto your first whip. Or if you just want to do penalty stitches and work on whatever you want, you can put 1,000 stitches into whatever you want. Or if you didn't make a whip list album in the group, you can do that. So, I happen to have this little pre-framed piece that I bought on clearance from Hobby Lobby. This is 14 count Fiddler's Ada, stretched over an artist canvas. And that schoolhouse will barely fit height-wise on here. I think this is like 65 high, and this is about 69 stitches. So it'll barely fit. But that way it'll be an easy finish for me, because once I get done finish stitching it, I can just like put a piece of felt here in the back so they can't see my stitches, or if I even care. And, you know, put a little note on there, who it's from, you know, stitched by, and thanks for teaching my daughter, and it'll be ready to go. And again, my daughter's in-home preschool goes through June, so I still have time to get this done. It's not a rush. But 700 stitches on that this week. We'll see a good start to that. So that's what I plan on doing for this week's homework. And then I'll go back to working on my full coverage pieces, my page finish mania. Let's see. So what else am I going to work on for page finish mania? Besides here and there working on the Hogwarts travel poster, and knowing that it's only the 13th of May and I've almost accomplished all my goals already, and I still have over half the month to go. I looked at the rest of the whips that I showed in my mania video as the possibilities, and I came up with a Summer Ball by Sandy Littlejohns. I'm going to use this one for the stitching extra credit of something you would find at a winter ball because of the Yule Ball in Goblet of Fire. So this one has fancy dresses and men in tuxedos. So, and you know, a place that's, even though it's at the wrong season, it's still a ball. And just to remind you where I was at. So, I've got quite a ways to fill in right here to finish page 2. But this piece is 2 over 2 on 28 count. So it's nowhere near as eye straining as the rest of my full coverage pieces. And so I think doing this, focusing on this to try to get this page finish, will be the little bit of a break I need so I don't burn out on my full coverage, because stitching this is totally different than stitching a piece that's converted from art. And just the way they're designed is totally different. And there's still areas of color on this, but it's not boring blocks of color. I mean, you still have to pay attention as to, you know, the way the color flows on the dress or the tuxedo. And I already have the floor done, and that was the hard part because of all the different shades of gray. So I'm going to try to get this page done in May. And then the other thing that I still need to do, if you remember, is I still need to work on my supersize museum shelf, because I haven't gotten all my stitches yet for By the Numbers 1200, my 1400 or my 2400 tent stitches, and I'm also using that piece for the gardening sal in full coverage phonetics. So I still need to work on that supersize piece as well, and that should probably see me another partial page finish. So if I get all these done, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, potentially 6 full pages and 2 partial pages. That's my new goal. First, I just wanted to break my record and get 4 full and 1 partial. Well, now it's 6 and 2. So you can hold me to that. That's my goal for May. My oldest daughter has 2 weeks left of school, so we shall see. Something I ordered from Amazon to use, not only for full coverage, but whatever pieces. These are floss cards in lots of pretty bright colors. These are really, thick plastic. And it's the kind of plastic where I already tried it out. You can write on this with dry erase, which of course could rub off at a moment's notice. Or you can write on it with Sharpie, and then it'll stay there until you use rubbing alcohol to wipe it off. So you can write your project on here, you can write your symbols on here, or the DMC numbers. And there's 10 holes on each side, so it can hold 20 colors. So usually my floss cards that I've made myself, I hold 30 colors. So a regular Haid would take about 4.5 of these floss cards. Or depending on, if you want to do a non-full coverage piece. But they're very well made. They're sturdy. And you don't need to buy like cardstock and laminating sheets. So if you're interested in those, I will put a link in the description as for the listing on Amazon so you can buy them. So there's blue. There's this fuchsia color, hot orange. There's like a corally pink, a green, and yellow. So there's 12 cards in all, 6 colors. So I'm going to try those out with some of my pieces that don't have floss cards made up, both full coverage and non-full coverage. Let's see. I want to give a quick shout out to Tina and Maria Louise, who are joining me in the Page Finish Mania, trying to get several pages done this month. Welcome, and thanks guys for joining me in the madness. I'm going to say hi to my mom's friend Patty. I found out last week that she subscribed to my channels. It's one of those moments where you realize people in real life that you know in real life are watching you. My mom didn't know that I was making videos, so it was kind of I'm going to tell you before your friend tells you that I'm making videos every week on YouTube. So she watched my latest one and she was amazed at how much I was getting done. But it's because I have nothing else to do. I'm staying here at home and I have something else to tell you in regards to that. First off, I want to give a shout out to Chandra Parker. She is a fellow Flosstuber, a fellow Air Force spouse, currently living in Japan. She doesn't have that many Flosstuber or subscribers right now, and I think that's not right because she does some really interesting stuff. She stitches and she quilts. She teaches overseas when she's in living in Japan. She used to live in Italy. She does everything from smalls to chatelaines to Nora Corbett and Mirabilia Fancy Ladies. So I will link her below as well. Go check her out. You can hear some of what it's like to be an American living outside the US. Her last video mentioned about 20 different types of Kit Kats that you cannot get here in the States. Flavors you could never even imagine. So that was interesting. Okay, that's all the stitching. My last thing is a little bit of story time because today is the 13th of May and that is my horse's birthday. His name is Spencer. He is 17 years old today. I have owned him since, let's see, just shy of 13. It'll be 13 years next month. So I've owned him since he was 4. He was a greenbroke, barely used, very young horse, didn't know much, but you could get on him and ride him without getting hurt. And he's been a part of our family ever since. I don't talk about him here because he's not up here in North Dakota. He's with my friend in Louisiana, and I haven't seen him since September. And I don't talk about him because I can't talk about him. Because he is such a part of our lives and I haven't been able to see him. But Spencer was bred and born in North Carolina, and then he moved with us to Phoenix, and then Louisiana, and then Omaha, Omaha's been as far north as he's ever been. This is a hot weather horse. He does not like cold weather at all. Especially now that he's getting older, he's got some arthritis. He doesn't like cold weather whatsoever. I could move him here in the summertime, but literally it's a 23-hour drive that I would have to split up into 3 days each way. Because hauling a horse, or hauling in a trailer with a truck takes a whole lot more out of you than you can do just driving in a car. And plus you have to be concerned about the horse too, and because if you've ever stood up in a bus or in a subway, it's hard to keep your balance. And it's hard on the horse. Of course, the older the horse, the harder it is on the horse to make a trip like that. And so to only make it for a few months and then have to drive all the way back and lose a week each way, it's not worth it for me and my family, nor would it be easy on Spencer. So he's currently down in Louisiana. He's getting excellent care from my friend who's also was my trainer and instructor, because we lived in Louisiana before we went to Omaha. So I have a few pictures of him. She rode him today. She groomed him today, gave him some extra hugs. She said he was a fire-breathing dragon today, which makes me feel good because we've got him on the right medicine now to help with his joints. He is having some cataract issues. He's bumping into things close up or not being able to judge distance to things close up. Although his far side of vision seems to be okay. But like she'll be riding and going past the mounting block and he'll try to jump it even though it's not in the way. Or she'll let him loose the last few feet to walk into a stall and he would walk straight into the side of the frame of the stall door because he can't see, especially with light changes or really bright light. So my friend is really taking good care of him and I miss him. So here's a picture of me showing him at night in Phoenix. Because temperatures were so hot in the summertime, you showed at night. You showed in the evening after the sun went down. So I told you I've had Spencer since he was 4. He's a quarter horse, which is part of the shirt I have on from the American Quarter Horse Association. He does English, Western, and in the last few years, mostly dressage. This is us doing English, so you can see his frame is low and flat, ground covering, but he's just kind of relaxed. He's not really carrying himself, not using his muscles. He's level across or slightly downhill in this picture. When I was pregnant with my youngest daughter in 2015, my trainer showed him for me, and she competed him and got him qualified for dressage regionals, which was near Houston. So I got a few pictures of her riding him. You can see he's more uphill this way and carrying himself. I got another picture that shows it a little bit better. So he's not as flat here. So this is dressage. It's pretty much, you're in a ring with letters all the way around it, and you have to do different maneuvers at different gaits all the way around. And it can be very boring unless you know what to look for. But the higher level you go, the more it looks like ballet on horseback, where the horse is dancing. So this was 2015. She showed him in first level, and today she said he could, if she rode him more than once or twice a week, he could be doing third level. So there you can see he's more, that's a canter, he's more uphill. This was at regionals in Houston, so that's why it was October. Jackets were waved because it was so hot. So the red horses tend to be hotter in temperament. So that's why people always say red horses can be like dragons. I'm kind of partial to red horses. I've always ridden mostly red horses. So that's Spencer. I told her to give him some extra love for me today. Sorry. She sends me pictures of him and videos. That's cool. Alright guys, instead of crying on camera, I'm going to stop this. Have a good week, happy stitching, and have a good Stitch Mania.